up guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ntui, and on this channel I make sewing tutorials. I post new videos on Wednesdays and on Saturdays, so please make sure to check back on those days in order to watch new content. In this video I'll be showing you how to make a pencil skirt that has a flounce in front of it. If you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe if you aren't already. If you're a beginner or if you're a person to brush up on your skill, I offer online courses. I'll be showing a demo how to make a jumpsuit for you to watch and decide if it will be convenient for you to learn online. If you are interested, send a Telegram message to the number that you can see on your screen. Alright, do have a lovely day. Enjoy the rest of the video. Bye bye. Alright, so you're welcome to today's video. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to need to draft a sketch block on paper. So to begin with the sketch block, the first thing we're going to do, I want you to keep 5 inches away from the top of the paper. Okay, we're going to create our band somewhere. We're going to draft our band somewhere inside here in this space that we keep here. So keep 5 inches at the top, and then you're going to draw a line. Okay, that 5 inches at the top, we're going to use it to make a band. That's just our allowance that we're keeping there that we'd use to create our band. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to place all our other measurements. So the distance from this line to where your hip should be 8 inches. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to place our skirt length. The skirt length we're working with is 20 inches. So at the end of the day, I want 20 inches to be my skirt length. The band I'm going to draft inside here will be 1.5 inches. 20 inches minus 1.5 inches. That's total skirt length that I want minus the band 1.5. It's going to give us 18.5. So from here to here, place whatever your skirt length is going to be beside without adding the number of your band to it. So I'm going to come here, I'm going to make a mark at 18.5. This is the hem of my skirt. Okay, that's the hem of the skirt. This part here is my waist to my hip. Now the waist to the hip, 8 inches is the standard. So I'm going to come to this line now. I'm going to place my hip measurement. My hip measurement is 41. 41 divided by 4 is going to give us 10.25. I'm going to come here and make a mark at 10.25, and then I'm going to come at the top here. I'm going to place my waist measurement. The waist measurement is 32. 32 divided by 4 is 8 inches. I'm going to come here. I'm going to make a mark at 8 inches. Now this skirt stops at the knee. Okay, the skirt length is just right around the knee. From the hip, we'll subtract 2 inches and place here. Whenever I'm placing the bottom of my skirt, in order to get that pencil skirt curve, what I do is whatever I have at my hip, I subtract 2 inches and I place down here. So the hip that we are working with is 10.25. 10.25 minus 2 inches will give us 8.25. So we'll come down here and make a mark at 8.25. Then simply connect our lines together. So we have drafted the basic skirt block. Now what I want you to do is I want you to come here over to the top, come from the edge of your paper, okay, from the edge over here at the waist, come into 5 inches and make a mark. Then at that 5 inches, you're going to come in 3.5 and make a dot. So from here to here 5, from here to here is 3.5. Now you're going to roll a line from here to here. Okay, and then on this line that you see now, you see this line that we have here now, you're going to mark ½ inch on both sides. So you're going to keep the middle of 1 inch, that is ½ inch on this line. You mark the beginning of your tape and you make a mark where 1 inch is. Then you're going to draw a line from here to here, draw a line from here to here. So you can see with this we have created our dots that's going to sit there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to place all our regular allowances. So I'm working with an allowance of 1.5 inches inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place 1.5, 1.5. But here, I'm not going to place 1.5, I'm going to place 2.5. Because this dot that we've kept here will consume 1 inch at the end of the day. Okay, that's half, 1. Okay, so what I'm going to do up here, I'm going to keep 2.5, I'm going to keep 1.5 here, and I'm going to keep 1.5 at the end of the skirt. Before we connect our lines, I want you to keep 2 inches of allowance at the bottom of your pattern. So from the end of your pattern over here, come down to 2 inches and make a mark. Now you connect all the lines together. Now that we have done this, the next thing we're going to do is we need to curve in the front of the skirts. Okay, so you're going to come in front of the skirt here. You see this front side of the skirt. You're going to come down by ½ inch. All right, now that we've done all of this, the next thing is to draw our band. Okay, so for the band, what we're going to do is we're going to place a line. First draw a line. Okay, the line should stop on the same level with your allowance that you have over here. Next thing that we want to do is we want to come to the middle of this line. So you measure the line. So from the beginning of this place here to the end of my line is 11 inches. I'm going to come 5.5 and make a mark. Then next thing you're going to do is you're going to come to the end of the line and you're going to mark 1 inch. Okay, you see this? At this place where we marked 11, I have come up by 1 inch. I'm going to draw a curve from here to that 1 inch. Okay, so you see this, from the middle of the 11 inches I have curved up to where I came up by 1 inch. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place my regular band allowance of 1.5. I'm going to make a mark 1.5. I'm going to make a mark here at 1.5, and I'm going to make a mark here at 1.5. So with this we have created the band at the top. Okay, so you see that now the next thing we're going to do is I want you to keep half-inch allowance under the band. See this? Now there's half-inch allowance everywhere around the band. So it's time to cut out. Okay, so you can see here, this is the regular skirt block for the front. That's the band that we have over there. Now don't forget that there is that we have to make a cut on one side. So where we have our darts, we're going to make a cut throughout one side of the darts, and that is where we're going to plant our flounce. Okay, so that's where we're going to plant our flounce. What we're going to do is this. Okay, so this is how the front is going to be. This is where that flounce will be attached to. And then this is the regular sketch block everywhere else. Okay, so now I'm going to draft the back. Before you start drafting, the back is basically the same thing with the front. But before you start drafting the back pattern, what you are going to do is you are going to make sure that you keep 2 inches all the way in front of your pattern from bottom to the top. So now on the back pattern for the skirt, you can see everything. This line that we have running from here to here is our allowance of 2 inches that we kept for our zipper allowance. Now, everywhere, this part that we have here is the band. I've already added the allowance to it. Now, in the last one, we did 1.5 inches, then we added half inch on top, half inch beneath. So what I just did here was just to place 2.5 everywhere. So the allowance is there and the band is there without me measuring everything. This is my this is my side allowance, waist, hip, skirt length. 2 inches in front, 2 inches at the bottom for hemming allowance, zip allowance. Now the only alteration I will make to the back that I'll show you is this. I'm going to come here. So you come here, you make a mark at 1 inch at this point. You're going to leave here at 2 inches. Okay, and you're going to come to 7 inches from this hip line. Remember this hip line that we have. 7 inches from the hip line, make a mark there. And then you're going to come here and make a mark at 1 inch as well. Okay. So after you have made this adjustment, so now next thing I'm going to do is to cut it out. All right, so the next thing is to cut. The next thing is to cut the to transfer all of this to the fabric. So as for the back is the pattern I will cut first. I'll cut the pattern for the back first. Now what you can see here are the patterns that I just finished cutting. So as for the fabric, I just simply put it on the fold like you saw, placed my paper on top, and I cut out the same pattern with my paper for the fabric. Now for the lining underneath, the lining is basically the same shape with the fabric everywhere except here at the bottom where it is 3 inches shorter. Now as for the band for the back, I cut 4 pieces of band. So the first 2 pieces that we have here is the band that's going to be on the body, and the remaining 2 pieces is the band that will be attached to the lining. So yeah, you need to cut 4 pieces of your band from the fabric. You won't touch the lining, you won't cut the lining. For if you check this, you can see that this is the same shade with the fabric and not the lining. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the patterns for the body. I'm going to now transfer these patterns to fabric. Now for the front, I'm not going to put the paper on the fabric on the fold. I'll just place it and cut, because you see this here, because of this thing, you need to cut them separately. You cut this one separately, you cut this one separately. Okay, so for the lining for the front, it's going to still be the same thing. The lining with this part will be the same shape, 3 inches shorter. The lining for this part, the same shape, 3 inches shorter. Okay, and the band you cut only 2 pieces for the band. Okay, so now you can see the patterns for the front. This is the one side, this is the other side, this is both sides of the band. This side here is the lining. Now remember, I told you to cut only 2 band when you are cutting for the front. Okay, so now the next step is for us to cut the flounce. The width of the flay, the width of the flounce, that we are working with is 5 inches. That's the distance from here to here. That's 5 inches. But as for the length of the flounce, you will need your skirt pattern. So remember this pattern where we drafted our skirts. You are going to come and you are going to measure from ½ inch after the waist, to this green line. So remember this green line here to the hem. ½ inch after the waist to the hem, we have around 17 inches. So it's around 17 inches. So now to begin, I have a piece of paper here. What you would do is you will collapse the piece of paper like so, and then you're going to now fold it in half like I am doing now, so that you know the center point of your paper. After you've done this and you've done that, you open it up, and now as you can see, there's a crease across the paper and there's another line across the paper. So now we know the exact where the middle is. So make a mark at the middle. Now the length of the flay, the width of the flay that we're working with is 5 inches. So what you're going to do is you're going to put 5 inches on this line. You're going to make a mark at 5 inches, and you're going to come across and make a mark at 10 inches. So that's 5 inches, that's 5. Do you understand? Now do the same thing across. You're going to make a mark 5 inch here, and you're going to make a mark at 10 inches. So we've done the same thing. We've made a mark 5 inches, 5 inches. Now I want you to now come diagonally, do the same thing. Just put just make 2 lines in the center, and then you can choose any of these lines. So it doesn't in any of these quadrants. So this is a circle. Here, half of a circle is a semicircle. A quarter of a circle is a quadrant. So you see this part here. You see this part here. We're going to use this part. Anyone, you can either draw this line here, draw this line here. It doesn't really matter. So you come to a 45-degree angle and make a line from here to here, and then the next thing you are going to do is you're going to make a slight curve on this line. So you see this curve here, or what you would do if you don't have a curve, any curves, what you would do is this. You measure the line 5 inches, you come to 2.5, make a mark, you come up by ½ an inch. You see this? I measure from here to here. On this other line now, here to here, 5 inches, middle of it is 2.5, I came up by ½ an inch. Then you make a curve from here to here and here down, in case you don't have this, so that I'm just doing that so that you don't feel limited. Now the next thing is for us to start making our curve, making creating the flounce. So you see this here, this is the beginning of the flounce. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a mark around here, and I'm going to stop at where I get 17. Remember that we're trying to get 17. So what we're going to do now is this. You see from here to here is 5 inches, right? So we're going to come make a mark here, 5 inches still. Now if you see, I'm measuring on this line, and when I get here, I'm going to start keeping my 5 inches here. So see this. Okay, so now I want to measure if I've gotten up to 17. So when you want to measure, You just draw a line from here to here. When you want to measure to see if you've gotten the number you are looking for, what you will do is this. You will come and start from here. So you see this 45-degree angle that we made. You start from here and you measure like so. Measure like so. So here's 5.5. See what I'm doing? Here's 5.5. You're going to now turn here like so. I'm measuring. Now you see that I'm measuring around here now. Okay, so this is 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So this is actually 18. So I've gotten my flounce. So please watch closely to how I'm going to cut this. All right. Look at, it's already acting like a flounce already. So you see this? This is how you make your flounce. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my fabric on the fold, place this on top and cut so that I get 2. If you notice when I was cutting, I added ½ inch around, just added that because I will do a little bit of sewing. So as I was saying, I will put my fabric on the fold, place this on top, and I'm going to cut 2 patterns. So I'm going to have 2 for the flounce. Okay, so now the first part we are going to stitch is the flounce. Okay, so let's just get this out of the way. Here we have our flounce. We're going to stitch around it. We're going to stitch everywhere except the inside. Okay, so after you are done stitching it, what you're going to do next is you're going to make a notch at these angles, and then you will notch everywhere around the circle. Okay, and when you are done notching, you turn it inside out and iron it. Now, after you have created your flounce, the next thing we will do is we are going to have to stitch the flounce onto the other part. So remember, the front was divided into 2 at one side of the dart. So we'll have to join the flounce to this side. That's the smaller side of the front. So we're going to come ½ inch after the top and basically just stitch the flounce on top of here. Okay. You can already see the effect in front of the skirts. The next thing I'm going to do is we're going to join this part to the other side of the front. Okay, so we're going to have to join this side to the front. Okay, so when you're joining the both of them together, you see this place here with this L shape. You see this L shape that we have here. By the time we are done, here it's supposed to fold up into the skirt like this. So what you will do is you fold it up as it's supposed to be folded at the end of the day, and you want to stop your dart 6 inches before you get to the end. So you see this, okay, to where the flounce stops, and from where the flounce stops, you're going to count 6 inches up and stop your dart at that point. Okay, back stitch when you get to that point. All right, so after you are done with this, okay, when you do this, you would have created the flounce effect in the front. So look at, you can see what's going on there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to come to this other side here, and we're going to hold a dart. So you see this, we're going to come to this other part where we have the notch, the notch that we made for the dart, and we're going to hold the dart on this point. So here we're going to hold a dart that is 3.5 inches long. The next thing you are going to do is you're going to have to fix the band to this side. So we have done almost everything with this side. Remember, in the front I told you to cut 2 bands. So you're going to take one of the bands that's meant for the front, and you see there's a slight curve going on around the edge. So what you're going to do is you're going to basically take it, you're going to stitch it on from here all the way down. You're going to use only ½ inch when you're stitching the band on. Okay, you can see the skirt is coming together. We have the flounce, we have the band over here. The next thing is to work on our lining. So you're going to need to join the 2 sides of the lining together to the front of the lining. We're going to have to join the other parts, the side, to it. So when you are joining them together, what you want to do is you want to join from the top. You're going to have to join 12 inches. So how did I get the 12 inches? I measured from here to where my slit stops. So the amount of space that I stitched on the front, you're going to need to measure it from here, okay, and stop at this point. So you can see 12 inches is where the dart stopped on the fabric. You want to make sure that it stays the same on the lining. You've seen this. I stitched from the top here and I stopped by the time I got to 12 inches. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to also dart this side. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to join the band to the top of the lining. You can see that now everything is laying smooth. So you can see I've ironed the lining. So this is the dart stitch. Remember, I stitched from the inside down to 12 inches. Now what you're going to do is you're going to lay the front flat down like so, and then you're going to pick up this part, okay, and you're going to place it on top like so, okay. You see that? Now we're going to stitch them together. Now after you do that, you're going to now lay it flat, okay. See the way I've laid it flat now. So this is the band that's with the skirt, this is the band that's with the lining. You are going to push all this excess towards the lining and top stitch from here all the way down. Now after you have made your top stitch, what you are going to do is you're going to simply roll it over like this. You see this? Now you see what I just did now. I turned them, I put the front of the lining facing the front of the fabric. So this is the big part. You see what's going on? Now I'm going to join the lining and the fabric together at the end over here, okay. You see this? At the end I'm joining it from here, but I'm not going to run all the way down. I will sew down like 4 inches and I'm going to stop. And now repeat the same thing on the other side. So you see this side here, see this side, the smaller side, you're going to bring them together. Make sure you keep the flounce out of this stitch that you're about to make now, and you just to stitch. You see this edge here, you leave the edge here open and free, and you're going to simply just stitch the front, okay. Simply just stitch the front. So I'm going to hold like 1.5 inches, but the side joining, that's the side where I will join the place where the side that will allow me join the front to the back will be left open. Now because I made the lining shorter than the fabric, by the time I pull the body up to adjust it to be the same on the same level at the band, you will notice that here, this is what we have. You will see that it has pulled, the lining has pulled the fabric up over here. You are going to bring, you see here, this is part of, this side here, part of the body, the big side of the front. You are going to align it with the big side of the lining. Now this is the slits now, okay, and we're going to join them together over here. And then I'm going to repeat the same thing on the smaller side, okay. So on the smaller side I'm going to repeat the same thing. You can see what's happening here. This is the two sides of the smaller side of the front. You're going to simply bring them together, and you're going to stitch, basically stitch on this, basically stitch on top of them. By the time we turn everything inside out, what we have is a well-finished front. So you see the slits now. Look at what the slit looks like. I'll need to give it a good press. Of course, you need to always iron. Okay, so now after you have finished working on the front and joining everything like so, you need to give it a good press. Then as for the back, this is one side of the back. Whatever I do here, make sure to do the same thing on the other side. First thing you're going to do is you're going to have to dart the back. Okay, so you see, that's what I have done to one side of the back. I have, after darting it, I now installed my band on top of it. I'm going to simply do the same thing on the lining. After you have installed your band on both sides of the front, okay, after you've installed your band, what you are going to do is this. You are going to come from the waist, from the top part here, Okay, you're going to come to where 8.5 inches is. All right, and then when you get to 8.5, now make sure that you are doing this on the side where we kept the zipper allowance. Okay, I made a notch into my fabric to show me where where this point is. Now when you get to 8.5 inches, you are going to come in by 2 inches at this point. So at this point, we're going to lock 2 inches from here all the way down to the end. And then you do the same thing on your lining, okay? So after you have gotten to this point, you see this here, this is the back, we have joined both sides together. The next thing we're going to do is you're going to now install your zipper. So you're going to now install your zipper, consume 2 inches from the top all the way down, okay? But you've seen that with that I have installed my zipper. Okay, so now the next thing is to bring in our lining. Now the next thing is to bring in the lining into the mix. So what we're going to do is this. You're going to zip down, okay, and then you're going to place the lining on top of it. So you see the clean side of the lining facing the clean side of the fabric. You're going to place them together and you're going to stitch them at the top. So you see this top part here, you're going to now stitch them together at 1/2 inch. Do the same thing on the other side as well. Now you see that? Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to push all the excess up towards the lining and I'm going to top stitch on top of here. So after I've done that, the next thing I'm going to do is this. So you see, this is what we have so far. Okay, you can see the lining has started covering, you can see the lining has started covering some of the rough work, but it's not doing a very good job just yet. So you see this, you're going to lay it flat like this. You see that? Look how the front looks. You're going to pass your hand through here, okay? Pick here, turn everything inside out, and it's going to open up the inner parts for you. So what you're going to do then is you're going to stitch onto, by the time you turn it to the white side, you will see the stitch you made that is holding your zip in place. Stitch as close to that as possible. Then simply repeat the same thing on the opposite side, okay? So by the time you have made these 2 stitches, turn it out first and confirm that you have done the right thing. We need to go back inside to cut some excess. So, but you see, now this is what we have at the back. Because we've not cut the excess, there's a lot of puffiness around here, but we'll fix that pretty soon. By the time we turn it to the other side, you'll see what we have here as well. Okay, so the zipper is now neat inside and outside. So what we're going to do is to zip down, go back in. So you see all this excess zipper allowance at the top. We don't need this zipper allowance at this point. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this part here off. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to flip everything upside down. So you see this, we're going to turn the lining over to this part. So you see, I'm now keeping the front of the lining. See this here, this is the front of the lining, clean side of the lining is facing the clean side of the fabric. We're going to stitch across the bottom, but don't start from the very beginning. Keep an allowance of like 4 inches away from the edge. And now we're going to sew across. Okay, so what you can see here is the back. I have ironed everywhere smoothly. So now the next and last thing is to join the front to the back. So what we have over here is, you can see here, here's the front. We're going to place it front side facing front side, and we're going to start from the waist and join 1.5 all the way. So you see what I'm doing, I'm placing the waist on the same level. I'm going to join 1.5 from here all the way down. So after you have gone all the way down on the fabric, you'll come back to the same spot, okay, over here, and you will go from here all the way up. Now whatever I do to this side, make sure to repeat on the other side of the skirt. If I turn this inside out, you'll see that the inside is clean, okay. The outside is also clean too. Though you see this joining that we just made, we'll need to spread it flat and iron it, okay. But you're going to pass from the other side. You see this? You're going to pass from this side, and you're going to come to this place here, pull everything inside out, and seal the hole, okay. So you see here, I'm going to now seal this hole. When I turn out from the other side, you'll see everywhere is clean, okay. So we're going to repeat the same thing on the opposite side. Okay, so you see this is the only hole that we have left, and this is where we'll turn everything inside out from. But for now, I'm going to head over to my ironing table, and I'm going to use this opportunity to iron all my all these sides flat. Now after I have ironed the sides, we're going to basically come from this hole. So this is the last hole left, and you're going to just pull everything out. Now after you have turned everything inside out, the last thing, you can either use like hemming tape, that's hemming gum, that's roll of that's adhesive that is heat activated. You can use that, put it inside here and iron it. Or for something more final, you can just basically stitch across the end your entire job. And it's going to be at the hem. It's not in a very notable position. So the next thing and the last thing that you have to do is take this to your ironing table and iron the living daylight out of it. So yeah, that's pretty much how I made the skirt. Alright, thank you for watching. If you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.